Their match against Kosovo had to be suspended due to Balkan behavior. The Kosovo players walked off the pitch and Romania were handed a fine, along with having to play their next match under closed doors.
Hello everybody. This is how Croatian YouTuber HRVzak describes the events of the UEFA Nations League match which took place between Romania and Kosovo in the last international window. Typical Balkan behavior. Just the typical savagery of Europe's uncivilized underbelly. The implication of this statement is that there is so much hatred in the Balkans and between different Balkan nations that this behavior is simply characteristic of this hatred which simply does not exist in Western Europe, which feeds into the prevailing narrative that these tensions might as well be thought to be predisposed just by virtue of the Balkans being innately uncivilized. Now I don't mean to hate on HRVzak for this. In his video he was trying to quickly summarize the match in several seconds in a simplified way, and I doubt he is someone who hates his own people or anything like that. But I believe it's important to highlight this rhetoric which I believe to be problematic. While it has honestly taken me quite a while to actually get around to making this video, and the match happened quite a while ago now, I do believe that it is an important issue to discuss. There have been many incidents which have occurred in international matches involving Balkan nations in recent years, and I think that it's important to approach them with the right mindset. This video will serve as a case study for understanding the origins of these incidents, and how prevailing discourse around such incidents can and should be avoided. Romania hosted Kosovo in the 5th round of the 2024-25 UEFA Nations League Group C2 in a near packed-out national arena in Bucharest, with Romania only requiring a draw to secure promotion to League B. With the score at 0-0 near the end of the game in second half stoppage time, the Kosovar players and staff walked off the pitch and refused to return to complete the match. The reason for this is a point of contention which I'll get into shortly. The Romanian players, staff, fans, etc. were forced to wait in -2-degree temperatures for an hour before the match was eventually suspended. This match was the latest of a series of 4 matches which occurred between the two nations within the span of 17 months, with incidents having broken out in each of the previous 3 meetings. The first 2 meetings occurred in 2023 in Euro 2024 qualifying, where they were drawn into the same qualifying group. The first of these meetings occurred in Pristina, where the Romanian ultranationalist ultras group Uniti Sub Tricolor traveled to the match and expressed their disapproval of the Republic of Kosovo, singing pro-Serbian chants such as Serbia, 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 and Kosovo is Serbia. In a statement issued after the match, Uniti Sub Tricolor spoke about their provocations, saying, "No compromises. Although there were only 40 of us in a stadium full of 14,000 Kosovars, we assumed from the very beginning that regardless of the risks and repercussions, we would do this right in their midst and tell them straight to their face in the stadium and in the so-called capital that Kosovo is Serbia." So clearly, not only are they admitting to their provocations, but they are also proud of it. On the other hand, the Kosovar fans loudly whistled the Romanian anthem before the match and allegedly chanted "Gypsies, Gypsies, Gypsies" towards the Romanians. In the return fixture later that year, Uniti Sub Tricolor unveiled a banner with the slogan "Kosovo e Serbia" and repeated the same chants. The Kosovar players and staff responded by leaving the pitch, leading to the match being temporarily suspended for 50 minutes. In addition to this, the Kosovar player Mergim Vojvoda performed the Albanian eagle gesture towards the Romanian fans, and after the match sent the message to the Romanian fans, "Rejoice that Adam Jashari is no longer alive." Another Kosovar player, Samir Uikani, also performed a questionable gesture towards the Romanian fans while the match was suspended. Uniti Sub Tricolor also issued a statement following the match, once again taking pride in their provocative actions. The third meeting between the two sides occurred earlier this year in Pristina, where away fans were banned from attending following the events of the previous 2 matches. The Romanian national anthem was again loudly booed, and Kosovo's official fan group, Dardans, displayed a banner which read, "Caution, this is Kosovo," while depicting a very aggressive symbol. The Kosovar fans also chanted "Gypsies, Gypsies, Gypsies" towards the Romanian team once more. After the end of the match, the Kosovar fans threw objects onto the pitch towards the Romanian players as they were leaving the pitch, including a bottle thrown towards Radu Dragushin, which was caught on tape. The events of last November was even worse than the previous three, and sparked even more tensions between the two nations. In the 93rd minute of the match, with the score at 0-0, the Kosovar team walked off the pitch, accusing the Romanian crowd of xenophobic chants. The chants heard from the crowd were "Serbia, Serbia, Serbia," which was relatively limited in scale and was drowned out by fans chanting "Romania, Romania, Romania," all of which happened after Kosovo captain Amir Rahmani had apparently shoved Romania's Denis Alibek. While the Kosovar team were leaving the pitch, Lumbardelova flashed the Albanian eagle gesture towards the crowd. As the Romanian team and fans waited for over an hour in -2-degree temperatures before the match was eventually ended early, the Kosovar team consumed pizza in their dressing room, before leaving behind a complete mess. Romania manager Mircea Lucescu and captain Nicolae Stanciu both accused the Kosovar team of having walked off the pitch in an attempt to gain a result through UEFA punishment of Romania, as did the Romanian Football Federation. Kosovo manager Franco Foda supported his team's decision to leave the pitch, claiming that the situation in the stadium remained too hostile for them to continue playing. Amir Rahmani stated that the chants of "Serbia, Serbia, Serbia" were unacceptable, and that he was forced to take matters into his own hands by leading the team off the pitch. The Football Federation of Kosovo issued a statement accusing the Romanian fans of creating an atmosphere which was unsafe for their players, something which the Romanian Football Federation denied. All four of these matches led to hostilities to arise, especially online, between the two nations, and this occasion was the worst one yet. People from both sides of the match accused the other of causing the incident, while degrading comments and general aggressive indignative sentiment were common to see. This coincides with other displays of nationalism in international football in the Balkans, some of which were seen at Euro 2024. The prevailing response by onlookers at these incidents is to come to the conclusion that there is just so much internal division and hatred within the Balkans that it is characteristic of it, that these people simply cannot behave. It is rare for people to question exactly why these incidents occur in the first place, beyond the implied notion of the Balkan people being innately uncivilized. Something to take into account is that ultranationalist ultras groups such as Uniti Sub Tricolor are not necessarily representative of the entire population of their nation or their club's fan base with regards to club football ultras. Football, as we know, is a sport which brings people together. People who, despite other differences, gather together for a period of time to advocate for a certain cause which is shared by them. Normally, we think of this cause as being supporting the same team and cheering them on to potential victory. However, as we know, football and politics cannot be separated. Football is a sport which appeals to people all across the world and, at its most basic level, is immensely accessible to the working class. All you need to play football at its most basic level is a vaguely round object and a small bit of space. Its general rules are very simple and easy to understand, and there are extremely few obstructions to play with regards to physical requirements. This is, after all, why its worldwide popularity dwarfs that of any other sport. Football's accessibility and ability to bring people together, then, can lead people among the disenfranchised working class, along with others, to create groups which fall into the pits of right-wing populism, nationalism, and organized crime. These people also gather together to advocate for certain causes, just like any other football fans. However, in this case, the causes they advocate for extend beyond just supporting their team. These groups also like to see themselves as being representative of their people and of their nations. Uniti sub Tricolor is a great example of this. Their advocacy of Kosovo being part of Serbia is, in their own words, motivated by their own territorial goals of their nation-state. Alongside the slogan, "Kosovo is Serbia," Uniti sub Tricolor regularly pairs it with the slogan, "Basarabia is Romania." They say that Bessarabia, a historical region which is today part of Moldova and Ukraine, was stolen from them in the same way that Kosovo was stolen from Serbia, and that they see themselves in Serbia with regards to their territorial claim on Kosovo. Aside from their stance on the Kosovo question, Uniti sub Tricolor has also made many other statements and acts which are fueled by this nationalist sentiment. This includes the glorification of Greater Romania, both historically and as a contemporary idea, as well as the vilification of Hungary and other nations. Irredentist territorial ideas and the vilification of other nations who are perceived to have ruined these ambitions is something which is a key element to nationalism in the Balkans. It follows the idea that all of the woes and ills plaguing a nation could be solved if only they could unite people of their ethnicity under one border and flag, and if only their neighbors and minorities from within stopped sabotaging this road to greatness. The YouTuber Balkan Odyssey made an excellent video on this subject which I highly recommend watching. These irredentist ideas are particularly pertinent to the Balkans relative to the rest of Europe as a result of historical developments. For centuries, the Balkans were divided up and artificially fragmented by colonial powers. Amidst the bourgeois revolution in Europe, the Balkans found themselves between Austro-Hungarian and Ottoman domination, and were thus left in feudal reaction, unable to organically form their own nation-state or central market like, for example, how Germany did. The culmination of these developments into the Balkan Wars is in fact what led to the term Balkanization to be coined in the first place. In contemporary neoliberal society, the ruling classes of the various nation-states seek to tap into this culture of Balkanization for their own material interests. As sections of the population become disenfranchised with the state of affairs in their country, right-wing nationalism becomes a useful political tool to keep them from directing their grievances in the right direction. While this is something which happens all over Europe, it is particularly weaponized in the Balkans, where the historical developments make it relatively convenient to. Although this explains why right-wing nationalism has appealed to many people within the Balkans, it does not explain why these groups prevail specifically in football. As I mentioned earlier, football has an incredible ability to bring people together to advocate for a certain cause. Even if general society in the Balkans is prone to the weaponization of right-wing nationalism, that doesn't mean that the footballing landscape and culture has to be this way. To quote Serbian academic Marija Djuric in an article written about violent extremism in West Balkan sports, the link between violent extremism and sports in the West Balkans exists, and can be seen in two ways. 1. Sport as a means of prevention of violent extremism, an idea that has not yet sufficiently translated into practice in the region, and 2. Sport as a means of politicization and recruitment of young people to join extremist groups. This trend has been growing stronger, and may become a serious security issue for the region. The question should be asked then, why is it like this? Why has 1 not been sufficiently translated into practice, while 2 is a growing trend? As a matter of fact, Ultras groups are often linked to political parties or groups, and in many cases, these links are very explicit and direct. Uniti Sub Tricolor themselves are strongly linked to the politician George Simeon, the leader of the political party Alliance for the Union of Romanians, and who personally participated in the founding of the Ultras group. These politicians see it to be within their interests to associate with Ultras groups as a way of gaining credibility amongst certain people. On the other hand, Ultras groups benefit from their links to these politicians by receiving impunity and even lavish benefits. This mutually beneficial relationship serves as an incentive structure for both parties to continue their operations. The recruitment of young people into these groups, then, is an extremely well-organized, extensive, and pervasive network which is systemically motivated by the interests of politicians and those willing to collaborate with them. While they may not be representative of their entire nation, or even the entire fanbase of the team that they support in the case of Club Ultras, ultimately, such a well-oiled machine must face active resistance in order for it to be threatened. It is incredibly difficult to win against this, which is why the prevention of right-wing extremism is an idea which has not yet been fulfilled to a strong enough extent. But this does not mean that it is impossible, nor does it mean that we shouldn't try. There are small things which we can all do which can make a difference. Let's now go back to the events of the series of matches between Romania and Kosovo. Recall the grievances from the people of both nations which were caused by these events, and ask yourself this question. What is gained from aligning yourself with one of these sides and directing your anger at the other? Regardless of if you believe Kosovo is part of Serbia, what is gained from aligning yourself with Romanian Ultras when they transmitted this message in an openly provocative manner? Regardless of if you support Kosovo's independence, what is gained from aligning yourself with the Kosovar team when they trash their dressing room in Bucharest? Do you not see how these actions fuels hate and resentment between the people of these different nations? In order for the people of the Balkans to achieve a dignified existence, this obstacle must be overcome. We can all help this cause by doing what we can to try to direct discourse towards peace. So the next time some ultras hold up an irredentist flag with the borders of greater insert X country, denounce it. The next time a footballer performs a nationalistic gesture or makes such a post on social media, denounce it. The next time you see a journalist or football commentator demonize another Balkan nation, denounce it. Take the steps to remind anyone you see supporting any such acts that the population of their nation has everything in common with the population of their neighboring nations, and that these acts only serve to divide them. You may not be able to convince them with a single exchange or conversation, but you can at least get them to think. Otherwise, the logical endpoint is fascism, and even more misery for the Balkan people. Balkan unity is possible, but in order for it to happen, we must all take the right first steps. With regards to the depiction of Balkan people as savage barbarians who just can't stop causing trouble and hostilities, please take what I have just said as a consideration next time you make such a joke about the Balkan nations. Perhaps I am being the friend that's too woke, but the reality is that these stereotypes are quite dangerous, and only serve the interests of the Western European ruling classes. It does this through numerous different facets. After all, if the people of the Balkans are such primitive beings, why should Western European countries treat Balkan immigrants as being equal to the so-called natives? Or why should they even be let in at all? Why should we care if Western European countries bomb their shithole countries? After all, maybe a bit of Western democracy being exported over there will help civilize them. By following the logic of these stereotypes, we reach this endpoint. Perfectly in tune with the Orientalist worldview and the ambitions of Western capital, which serves to keep the Balkans in abject destitution. Perhaps someone will intend to make these sorts of jokes as just a harmless laugh, but the implications are real. Consider the tendency for liberals or others to always align with fascism when push comes to shove. They may say these things as a joke now, but in the future, they may just tend to follow the logic once push comes to shove. These jokes also always come with an audience. The person who makes them may not intend any harm, however, they embolden their audience to take them to heart and accept the idea that it is okay for Balkan people to be portrayed in such a way. When push comes to shove, these people will be more likely to follow the logic, a logic which leads to fascism. Together, we can do better. Football has the ability to unite us, and we should all try to apply this unity towards a more positive world. I would like to finish with a quote. Jeva Prekazi was a Kosovar Albanian footballer who racked up over 300 appearances for Partizan Belgrade and Galatasaray. He has since been part of both the Partizan Belgrade and Serbia national team's youth setup as a coach. During the Yugoslav wars, Prekazi's birthplace was burnt to the ground, and he was also unable to visit his best friend's funeral, who had presumably died during the conflict. Speaking about national allegiances, Prekazi had this to say: "I love people. Nationality never interested me. And I barely survived the collapse of Yugoslavia, the most beautiful country in the world. And when I leave this world, I will be a Yugoslav. Like my wife Julika, a Serb, but above all, a Yugoslav." When Serbia and Albania face off in World Cup qualifiers next year, remember these words. And that is all for this time. The sources used for this video will be posted in the description. Please like, comment, and maybe subscribe in case for whatever reason I decide to make another video. Thanks for watching, I suppose. I hope you all have a very successful and happy day. And as always, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.